Today we are talking about outdoor first aid, and I have my lovely friend Beth with me today. And not only is she my good friend, she is also a mom of 3 who love the outdoors, and she's a nurse. So I thought she's the perfect person to come and talk with us about outdoors and first aid and all those things that we're doing when we have kids, no matter if we're outside or inside. There's always
how to survive in the Florida wilderness.
How to survive. So she's brought along some stuff with her today to share with us, and I've kind of brought my stuff from over the years. And so I thought we'd just share some things that we've learned over the years, but Beth had some fabulous ideas I never even thought of before, so I'm excited for her to share that with me. So what we're talking about really is Learning Lifestyle Revival is all about getting outdoors, even in your own backyard, and no matter the age of your children, there's going to be some accidents, right?
Sadly, yes.
Bumps,
especially
bruises.
with the amount of boys to girls ratio.
Yes, I have all boys. She has 2. Thankfully, she's got a girl mixed up in there, but she loved the outdoors as well.
Very much so.
Right? Okay. So let's start off. First thing, I like to keep a car kit in my car and at home, but the one in the car, inevitably we're going to be out somewhere where we need that. And I also kind of keep a little something in our backpack. But I thought I'd let Beth start off. She's got a nice little list for us and some tips, and then we'll just kind of talk about it and talk about some different things. So what do you have for us today?
Well, I too love my old-fashioned first aid kit. I mean, obviously this one's old. It's been through the ringers. It's my go-to. But in Florida, if you'll notice, the coatings and even the latex in your Band-Aids will kind of get wore out just from the heat, from sitting in the car, which is where this one lives. So in addition to that, which I keep gloves in and just a couple things that I like more sterile, and just a Ziploc bag, I'll give you my top 10.
All right. So we have a top 10 list that we'll definitely have printed out for you so that you can have that yourself. But this one is fabulous right here.
Dollar store, one of my favorite places. Just a little pill packet, so they have the dates here, but on the back I write the 5 most common things that I keep. Aspirin, Tums, Lamodal or Imodium, and Benadryl is definitely the #1 thing. But in Florida, you can't keep your medicine probably about every 3 to 6 months. I'll write it on the calendar so I remember to check. I only keep like 3 or 4 in here because the heat is going to degrade them.
Okay.
So it's just a small amount. It's great. It fits in here. Great for traveling. So that's...
Okay, so let me show this. So if we live in a colder climate, does the cold do the same thing, or is it fine for medication? So if we have people across the country that go through a hard winter, is that gonna be good during that time?
Yeah, I think the heat is really
what does it. So if you live in a climate with a lot of heat. So what this is just a weekly pill thing, which I thought was genius. And she's written on the back the different things that she keeps in her packet, which I love that because I end up having all these little packets and then they get
that and the ones that come in the kit, you have to check the date because
that's true, because I'm sure these are expired 05.
I wasn't going to mention it. So they look great.
Don't tell. Okay.
Okay, you want to guess on this one? Why would I need my credit card or any card?
Oh, I know, but you tell us. You already told me.
Yes. Oh, yes. Holly got a bee sting. That's the way we're going to remove the stinger, to lessen the swelling there too.
Okay, so how do we go and get the stinger out? Do we go with the stinger?
Well, usually, yeah, it's almost like a thorn, so there's a little bit of a fatter edge, and yes, you're just going to drag it slowly up and out. Okay. The same thing is going to work on jellyfish stingers at the beach.
I didn't realize that jellyfish had stingers.
Not all of them do, but some of them.
Okay. All right.
Yes, and then you always want to rinse jellyfish bites with salt water. Vinegar if you have it.
Vinegar, okay.
But salt water will do as well. You just don't want to rub at it.
Okay.
Because that will further embed the stingers and increase your pain.
Now, are they easy to see with the jellyfish?
Yeah, I think the bees are a little bit easier.
Okay, yeah.
But jellyfish, yeah, depending on the ones you have.
I didn't know that. I had no idea.
Good things to have. Okay. Artificial tears, saline, water can do in a pinch, preferably in an unopened bottle, but just sometimes in Florida, a little bit of wind comes, somebody's got something in their eye, and that makes for a really bad day. So
Yes.
just something to keep your eye rinsed out with. You could also use the bandana with water if necessary, just if you're out in the woods and you don't have access to it. It's just nice to have even that small amount.
Yes.
Can rinse it
we
out.
were in California years ago with my nephew. He was really little and he loved the beach. And he ran and just face planted himself, eyes wide open in the sand. And that ended our day, obviously.
Yes.
But I wouldn't have thought to use artificial tears to help because you're just trying to do the water, that kind of thing. But I love it.
Yes. And saline also comes in small bottles too, which is great because that's your backup in terms of rinsing off a wound.
Right.
Number 7, Band-Aids, of course. There's some new ones out now called Skin Flex.
Yeah.
They're great because in Florida, everything can get kind of broken down, but those stay with you. They can make it through water. So in terms of swimming and
Okay.
being at the beach, they're really great. But I just buy a multi-pack so it has all the different sizes in it.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, just kind of check them every 3 to 6 months to make sure that the latex hasn't
Yeah,
worn out
you
and they'll
know-
actually stick.
I need to invest in better Band-Aids. My son told me that I buy terrible Band-Aids because they don't stay on, then they sweat and they roll, and then that kind of
Yes, keep an eye out for coupons because they are worth the extra cost.
Yeah.
And especially now that our kids are older and they're not just wearing them to wear them.
Right. There's
We can
usually
get
a
the good
problem.
Yes. Number 6, baby powder. I always keep in when we're going hiking and your feet get all sweaty, you have a tendency to get more blisters, so throw a little of that in the shoes and then that kind of decreases it. The other thing it's really great for is when you come home from the beach, the reason that the sand sticks to you is because of moisture. So you
Okay.
sprinkle that on and then you can go and put on your dry clothes. It makes the trip home a little bit more comfortable. So
So
that's
to
a
me,
handy thing.
this was the best out of all of this because I live in Florida. We go to the beach, been to the beach, different places across the country, and it's the sand that drives me nuts.
You don't want to take the sand home.
I know. I didn't know the baby powder would take it off. So that is like the number one takeaway for me, baby powder.
My other favorite, I don't actually have in my hand today, but usually when we head out, we have a cooler for drinks. And inevitably what I found I'd keep using instead of the cold packs that come in here, I don't know, you can
Yeah, I don't
squeeze
know.
it. Here you go.
Oh, okay,
You can
yeah.
squeeze it and it's instant cold. Well, by the time you trot back to the car to get this, your kid's already in need of something. The cooler I always have with me, and in it I usually keep the frozen Capri Suns. My kids have outgrown their enjoyment of those, but the size is absolutely perfect in terms of slipping it into a sleeve, the cuff of your pants. It's easy to strap using a bandana. So I just really love the size of that, but obviously a cold pack is necessary to help with any
Right. But then
injuries.
these are generally one-time use,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So I think the Capri Sun idea or juice pouch is perfect because you're going to have it on hand. So maybe throw one in the freezer, throw it in the freezer before you go, and then you kind of always have that on hand.
That's where
you
ours
need it.
lives, in the freezer, if it's not in the coolers heading out. So
Okay.
Grandma always recommended peas because apparently they can kind of go.
form to
But
Whatever
2 or 3
body part
times
you
out in
need.
the Florida sun, you don't want to use those peas ever again. So Capri Sun's my go-to. Let's see. Gauze pads, the multiple sizes that come in here are fine. I have to say that one time I had a child, a Goodale child that will remain unnamed.
unnamed.
Had a cut on his forehead, and it was that's a very vascular area. Your whole face, head, anytime there's an injury there, it bleeds a lot. And those little tiny gauze pads weren't doing
doing it.
anything. Fortunately, I had some feminine products available in my purse, combined with a bandana.
Which can hide the feminine product across your head.
Exactly.
Yes. There you go.
And it covered it up, and it kept further bleeding. So in a pinch, great absorption.
I love that. I had never thought of that either. I'm telling you, we were cracking up and we were going over this stuff before because moms are going to have that. You're just, because you never know. And you're right, it's absorbent. You got the bandana, no one's gonna know. So
Yes. Emergency averted.
some children might be opposed to that, but if you're bleeding,
There
it
you
works.
go. Okay, a good set of tweezers is important to have in Florida, or anywhere actually. And splinters is one thing, but the other one that different times of the year we have ticks.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
ticks.
So you want to go ahead and make sure you remove the head of it too.
Right.
Another good way is when your kids come home, I have them drop all their clothing in the laundry room. Go in, they take a shower. I do the inspection, look for any ticks, and then if you take their clothes, and so one time I actually used the dryer, but after you wash them and dry them, the heat is what kills the ticks.
Okay.
So that's another way to kind of prevent any further bites.
Definitely our boys, especially hunting season, they're out in the woods all the time, and they use the spray in different things where there's always ticks. So I didn't really know that the dryer would kill them. I didn't know that, but I do make them take their clothes off outside, and we have to do the tick check and all that kind of stuff, because Lyme disease is a serious thing. I know several people who have suffered with that. So it's really important, nobody wants to see the ticks, but it's really important to check your kids and yourself, because inevitably you're like, what is that?
Yes.
Found them on
Not a good
myself before.
feeling.
No, not at all.
Okay, this handy little thing is also another dollar store find. It's bug bite relief, but baking soda is the
okay.
primary ingredient of it. I use baking soda all the time. If the kids have a rash, if the kids get a bug bite, I'll make a paste of it and use it. This just makes it a little bit
Easier.
handier for travel. But anytime it's out, I just refill it with water and a little bit of baking soda.
Okay,
Because
so it's basically like a okay.
yeah, like a little roller,
Little-
so
yeah.
it can go on the bite.
Oh, I love it.
So that keeps it all contained and great for traveling. Any guesses on the magic marker?
No.
Okay, worst case scenario for Florida is snake bites.
Okay.
So if it happens, you want to keep your child, hopefully with their extremity below their heart. You don't want it raised.
Okay.
Everything has changed in terms of the way you treat snake bites.
Okay. Because it used to be you would tourniquet it, right?
Right, but what they found is the tourniquet, say it was on your hand and we put the tourniquet, then we're concentrating all that poison in that area. So the skin surrounding is getting more damaged.
Okay.
So the change is, yes, no tourniquet, no ice pack. You want
Oh, okay.
the most important thing is your phone. You want to call 911 and get that child,
Help.
in immediately. Yes. What we're using the marker for is to mark, okay, so after the bite, where's the swelling? So it happened at 11 o'clock, this is where it is. In 15 minutes, it was up to here. So that when you get
okay.
to the ER, they can see how it's progressed, and they can make a more definitive diagnosis in terms of,
Wow.
yes, what amount of
How smart.
antivenom. So, yes. You're also supposed to remove their jewelry and any tight clothing as they're swelling.
Okay.
Just some things to remember. Not that you will, I know in an
No,
emergency,
but it's such good information. I would have never thought about that. And then of course you get to the hospital, they're going to ask you those questions, and you're probably not going to remember, how long it took and all those different things at all.
yes, so you have the time on there. That's really what's going to help them.
Okay.
But of course, anytime you're going to call 911, they're going to help you. They're going to tell you to take all the clothing and jewelry off. So you'll have those things, but it's just one more thing to learn.
Okay.
So I think that's it. Anything else?
Well, I want to talk a little bit about what I just keep in my car all the time. And we wanted to talk about the going on hikes, because we're all about getting out into your local parks and different things like that. And having these things in your car readily available is very important. And some other things that I keep, I have an old picnic basket that just stays in there in my trunk, and I throw stuff in there when I think about it. And just like we had bug spray, I always keep bug spray in the car, because you could just be going to the soccer game and get eaten alive by mosquitoes.
Yes.
Right? Just, anytime. So it's always good to keep bug spray in your car. With littles especially, I always keep sunscreen. You never know when you're going to stop somewhere. You never know when your car's going to break down, actually, even that. Mm-hmm. You're out in the sun. I have one child who never burns at all, and I have one child with fair skin who burns, within 5 minutes. So it's really important to be able to have that on hand. And like you said, probably keep a chart on how long it's been in there, because I'm not known for changing things out like I should.
Well, just like you change your batteries when we have the change of seasons, that's probably a good time
to change out your car pack or even your backpack. I do the same thing. Best idea with the Ziploc bag. I just keep a few things in our backpack that we take with us. When kids are little, we take along the big diaper bag, and you could probably survive for a week with the stuff we keep in our diaper bag.
True.
Could you have done that? But now our children are older, and I just have this tiny backpack that I throw on. Just water really is what we're looking for when we're out, but to have those things is really important. Another thing, we always keep some snacks in the car, even if it's something silly like we're at the grocery store and the kids are starving. I know I probably got a couple of bars in the trunk that won't kill them, right?
Oh, my mother-in-law loves my car because she said there's always snacks in here, but that was life in the car. We're always going somewhere.
It is. And you had mentioned rubber gloves. And I keep a Ziploc bag of them in the trunk because, listen, I don't like nasty stuff. But I can do anything if I'm wearing rubber gloves.
Makes you feel like a superhero.
Right. You can do anything with rubber gloves.
This is true.
So my kids are nature kids. Have you guys ever picked up disgusting things on the side of the road or out in the woods? You've got stuff, and you don't necessarily want to handle it. We found owl pellets before, and those, they're a little nasty. Anything, rubber gloves work well. Love those. But I also keep one of two things really. This is just a very cheap paintbrush. And it's great for getting sand and stuff out of the bottom of your kids' shoes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I actually keep one at the back door here at home.
How does that work?
Well, sometimes it goes good, sometimes it doesn't, if I catch them. But just a quick sweep of the bottom of their shoes, or if you got it on something, and a brush for the really dirty children, which would be mine. I might as well just give up the
Actually,
paintbrush.
I'm thinking this is when they were little, and this is the size we need now.
This is what we need. Just the whole body sweep might be good. And one thing I always keep is bubbles.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, you just never know when you need some entertainment.
I like this.
You never know. And we have been, years ago, a car that I had broke down quite often when my children were little, and I can remember, they're strapped in their car seats, we're on the side of the highway and waiting for daddy to come, and sometimes kids can get a little anxious, but bubbles can cure anything.
That's true.
Love the bubbles. But just even when you're at a park or something, what I tell people, if you have kids, either something's not going well or the kids don't want to get out and play, bubbles can kind of get everybody loosened up, maybe blow up between siblings who are arguing. I don't know, but
yes, I like that.
Bubbles work pretty good.
That's great. Actually, I have 2 little bottles in my purse now from weddings, so I think I'll have to bring them out a little more often.
Yes, you never know when you need bubbles. That's my go-to trick for the day. So anything else? Any other tips you have?
I see that you have hand sanitizer, which is great. My kids use it, and I like the pump action for the car too.
Okay.
Even just after they get gas or whatever. But yeah, I think that's pretty well covered.
Okay.
And you keep water as well?
I do. And I have another question. If you have young children and you're out going maybe in a hike that is off the beaten path, maybe a couple of tips if it's hot summertime. And is there a way where we can gauge, children don't speak a lot of the times on the way they're feeling, maybe gauging on if they're getting overheated or maybe something like that we can help parents kind of gauge with their kids?
Well, the big thing is if you're thirsty, they're thirsty.
Okay.
So you want to stay hydrated. If you can kind of keep offering them things like if you maybe some of those yogurt, anything that's frozen at home, and just keep that so it's not a constant water. But yeah, kids will become lethargic, of course, if they're dehydrated.
Okay.
Our kids have that fair skin, and you can see it. You see their red cheeks. So that's one way. But yeah, for the littlest ones, it's usually a fatigue thing. So you want to keep the hats on, you want to keep the fluids going, even fruit, obviously a little bit of watermelon or whatever else that you can just try and keep it going. But usually about once an hour, you want to kind of stop and make sure everybody's drinking,
Okay.
And I know in Florida, like the coaches are excellent about having the kids come in for water breaks.
Okay.
So that's just something we need to be the family coach and make sure that happens.
One thing I did want to mention, and I forgot to bring it out here, is a whistle. I just think a whistle.
Yes, and I have one in my beach
very
bag.
important. Oh, in your beach bag.
Yes.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yes.
Do they wear that when they're out in the water as well?
No, I use it because I don't know if I need to alert the lifeguard that
Okay.
I'm seeing something out there, or to get my kids in if I think they're going out too
Okay.
far. But yeah, just in terms of shouting, you always think you'll be able to do that, but really your throat just kind of closes up when you're nervous. So that's, it fits on my wrist and
Perfect.
yeah.
When I was a kid, I would spend my summers with my grandparents in Alabama, and they lived on 16 acres and it was all wooded. And the first summer that I went, I had a friend who would come with me in the summer, and my grandfather gave us each whistles on twine. And the rule was we had to wear them at all times. No matter what, we had to wear the whistle. And you only blow it in an emergency. So up there would have been rattlesnakes and, different things like that. But that way they could know we needed help and we could feel, like we were safe. We had that whistle. So I think it's important to give kids a whistle, even if you're at a local park, because sometimes if they get crowded, even, you can kind of not see your kid. Maybe you don't see what's going on and they might, wander off, and you could have your own whistle as well, that they could hear that whistle and know it's time to come back. It's time to come check in with mom. If you're out on a hike, on a trail, my kids can run way faster than me. And just to keep in touch with each other. Walkie-talkies are great, but whistles can be really effective because they're pretty cheap and everybody can have a whistle. But I think that's really important and can be effective in so many situations. So I think that would be one of my number one things is a whistle.
I'm having a sound of music moment.
Why, are we going to sing?
No, do you remember at the end that's how he called everybody, was they each had their own whistle? Two tweets with one? No, you're going to have to go back and watch again.
Okay, well, we're going to have to watch Sound of Music. Or maybe I do. I don't know. You could have your own call.
Yes.
As a family, you could have your own whistle call. We have a bell on our porch, and the boys know wherever they are on the property, they hear the bell, they got to come home. They just come home, whatever they're doing.
That's great.
So,
yeah, especially
we love that. Well, thank you so much, Beth, for coming and hanging out with me on the back porch. And
it's always a pleasure. I try not to be too distracted by the beauty that I get to see over there.
maybe we should turn the camera the other way sometimes. I'm not sure.
Yes, the chickens over there and the beautiful birds that are flying in.